not I think I named this wrong. We gonna call this Countdown to the King. That's what we gonna do. We gonna call this. we gonna call. We gonna call this
Oh,
the count. You know what I mean? We gonna call this slowly the Saban. Whatever you want to call it.
whatever
We
you want to.
here.
That's
We
right.
gonna beat the hell out of you. It's not gonna go well for these other nine, but you know what? We're gonna have a good time breaking down because we do care about the game as a whole as well.
That's right. That's
Before we get to any of that, as you see, Alabama, we are going to talk to Mr. Alabama himself, the
right.
quiet storm, Mr. Roll Tide, Alabama's finest, Pensacola's finest, by way of what is going on, Pop? How you feeling tonight?
I'm doing well. I am doing well. Ace, my man's in them. You know, representing. As you know, we don't care how hot it is outside, inside. It's all
Oh,
about them.
inside we good, baby.
Listen,
Don't worry about
so I
us.
am happy to be here for another week of Ace and the Quiet Storm.
The quiet storm.
Tonight, we are going to give you something that is going to make you scratch your head, say, yes, you're right. You have the right to disagree. We're going to put a disclaimer up now, verbally. We really don't care if you disagree.
It don't matter. It
It
don't
don't
matter to
matter.
me.
I mean,
It don't matter to
but
me.
it's going to be thought provoking, and we do care about your opinion. So I'm not going to ever not say an opinion doesn't matter. It does matter. We want to hear from you. We want to hear if you think that these picks that we're going to give you tonight make sense to you. We're going to try to break down each one as best we can on why we chose that particular individual
Right.
before we get to the, before we get to my main man down in Tuscaloosa. So
Yeah, you already know
what
what
we
it
gonna
is,
do?
Delvin. Before
You already
you
know.
already know what it is, Delvin. You
So we're
already
gonna
know
get
what it
right
is.
into this. Tonight's show, we're going to discuss the 10 best college football coaches at this particular time. We're not
At
doing
this
an
time.
all-time list. That would be there'd be like half of these names wouldn't be on that list.
Oh goodness,
So
no.
we're talking about today in today's college football landscape. Who are the 10 best coaches? And before we get started on number 10, everyone, I want you to know that um, championships doesn't make you a great coach, man. Multiple championships can make you a great coach,
What does seven
but
make you?
seven make you.
We gonna leave it alone because
No,
I'll spend this whole
we'll
hour
get there.
talking about them. I'll
But
spend
some of
this
the
whole
coaches on my list haven't won a championship, but they're
right.
still outstanding coaches, and I think they need to be recognized for what they've done, not just uh, from a wins and losses standpoint, but also
Right.
from a are your kids graduating? Are your kids um, are your are your kids loyal to the program? Are you loyal to the program?
Right.
Um, that goes into a lot of my thinking on who a great coach is and what he's trying to do for his career.
Right.
So we're gonna get right into this.
Why don't you
Um,
lead off with who your number 10 is?
my number 10. Now,
Uh oh. Actually, hold on. Let me
I'll
lead off.
go.
I see it in your eyes. Let me lead off on my 10 because I see you already about to go left and I'm here
Woo,
for it. Let me get my little
woo.
clean little 10 out the way.
Okay,
I
get
did
your
my little
10,
homework.
and
You
then
know
I'm
who
gonna
I
do my
like a
10,
lot,
and
number
we go.
10? I
Mhm.
like Kyle Whittingham in Utah. I
My
do.
man, okay.
I do. Because Kyle Whittingham winning out there at the consistent rate that he wins, getting to these
Mhm.
big time bowl games and winning there. He's 144 and 70 in his career. Like
Mm,
he's got a really good program. And it kind of feels like a Mark Few from Gonzaga only in college football type of thing because
mm,
the area out there to recruit is not big time. He's not near Florida. He's not near
mhm,
New York. He's not by the, he's not going to get those Texas kid. A lot of the big time recruits aren't going there, but he gets his
mhm.
guys ready, and they're
Yep.
always good. Utah is all you always look up, and Utah is always getting. played out from the college football
Yeah,
playoff. They're always around 6-7.
always well
This
coached.
this is
Yep.
want to be those guys getting here. I think Kyle Whittingham. The only thing he's missing, the only reason why he's probably not higher, is because he hasn't made that college football playoff yet, and it matters. It
Mhm.
matters to be in the top four to play for there. Cincinnati got there. We'll talk about their coach for me a little bit later. Um, but yeah, I mean, just at number 10, I think he's one of the 10 best coaches, absolutely. And
Mhm.
yeah, my man Dabo, you did entirely too much research if you say anything from Utah. You see what I'm saying? I'm out here. I do
See,
my work.
see,
I do
that's
my
work
work,
though. That's
man.
putting in the
I
work.
do
That's
my
right.
work, B.
I will add to that. With Kyle Whittingham, 67% of his games since 2016, he's had the best defense in the Pac-12, an offensive conference, not a
Mm,
defensive conference. Right? Let's not forget that is an offensive conference. I don't think they like defense too much in the Pac-12, but he has had the best defense in that conference for the past 5-6 years.
it's
So that
impressive,
says a
man.
lot about his approach to how he feels his team or the makeup or the mentality of his team. So
I
I
agree.
like that. That's a good one.
Okay.
My number 10,
Let's get messy. I see the eyes.
James James Franklin, Penn
Okay.
State.
All right. I'll keep that.
Right now, James Franklin, he had 2 winning seasons at Vanderbilt. Man, Vanderbilt. We're talking Vanderbilt,
We're talking Vandy.
right?
We talking Vandy.
Vandy is as bad now as they were before he got there. He had how are you competitive in the SEC at Vanderbilt, right?
Yeah.
James Franklin has done some outstanding coaching. Now, mind you, he's in the conference now with Ohio State, Penn State, Iowa, Michigan State. He's in
Right.
a conference that's talent wise can rival the SEC in many ways. And he's still winning. He's not winning 10, 11, 12 games a year. He's winning 10, 9, 10 games a year. He's playing in a very tough conference. But he still makes that Penn State team is always well coached. They're always fiery. They're always hungry. They're always, I like the way he coaches his team. I like the
Okay.
way he leads his team.
Okay.
Um, he's coached at, he's had a few stops. He's coached at Kansas State. I don't think he wants that on his resume, but he does. Um,
Right.
and all of these coaches start off in places that's crazy. He started off in 1995 at Kutztown as a wide receivers coach, right?
Yeah.
But you have to make your bones and work your way up. He goes to Vanderbilt. He makes Vanderbilt competitive. He had that one blip where one of his players had the nerve that say, Bama, you're next. Well, 55-0.
Come on, man. Watch your mouth.
So
It's
he
simple,
probably
man.
should have told his guys, like, yo, you know
Come on,
what?
bro.
Uh, you're sitting the next game. Just
That's
because.
it.
But,
Do not bark up that tree. That tree will
yeah,
fall on you. Jay
yeah.
Z said it best. You know what?
But I like James Franklin. I think James Franklin is one of
Okay.
those coaches that is a top 10 coach in the country currently. Now
Okay.
he
I'm
has
not.
to do some things
Yeah.
to move up the
He does.
list,
He does.
but I think he's a top 10 coach.
I don't have him in my top 10 for two reasons.
Mhm.
Um, they did win a bit. They won Penn State. He got Penn State's last Big Ten championship. That was 6 years ago. And from then, the record in the Big 12 is not great the llast couple years. I mean, the Big 10 hasn't been
Okay.
great the last couple years. Um, I think the rest of these guys on this list probably have more success all around than he's had recently. I think he's right there on that edge, though. If he puts
Mhm.
together, another nice recruiting year and competes in that Big Ten and gets himself back into this top 10, top 15 in the country talk, I think he's right there. I think James is really good.
Mhm.
Number 9, we going Jimbo at 9. We going Jimbo at 9. Oh yeah. I don't care what your recruiting class looks like. You haven't coached it yet. That's perfectly fine. You can buy
Okay.
whatever you want, Jimbo. You can Jimbo Fisher is a very good coach. He is. He's one of the 10 best coaches. He's one of the 9 best coaches in the country. But you're getting Jimbo is on our radar because of the recruiting class that he has this year. He hasn't
Mhm.
coached 1 second of it yet. Is he going to make the top four? With that recruiting class, he better.
He
Is he
better
going to be in a college football playoff? Talking about Alabama,
with
talking
that
about all
with,
these
with
other
that
teams with
class.
the number one recruiting class? You
That
better
class,
if you're as
he
good as
better.
you say
That's
you
right.
are. If you
That's
say
right.
you're as good as you are, you do. And if we have this conversation next year, cool. Maybe you're in the top five, top four now. Right now, you're at
Hmm.
9 because you got a nice. He's got a really good record, 34-14 at A&M. He his biggest thing that he did was beat Alabama last year.
Yeah,
It's the biggest thing that he's done
but you know what? So does
in
Kevin
recent
Sumlin once.
history, and that's fine. I think Jimbo's really good. He's an elite recruiter, but he's 7-10 against ranked opponents the last few years. Like it's just not. You got to beat ranked teams. You got to beat the good teams
Yeah,
in order to be higher up on this list. I got
I agree.
Jimbo at 9. I almost put Jimbo at 10, except he made a college football playoff and Whittingham didn't. That's the only reason that separated 9 and 10
Okay.
for me because I wanted to say Whittingham was over him, but you got to give Jimbo that because he's made a playoff before. Other than that, I ain't got it for
Um.
you, Jimbo. Watch your mouth
Okay.
too. I can't wait, Jimbo. I know you think you got these players behind you and that they ready. Oh, we got you, coach. Don't worry about it. That's cool. We'll see you soon. Don't worry about it. We'll see you soon.
All right. Nice. That you know what? I can respect that. But I'm gonna just tell everybody right now, Jimbo's not in my top 10. So let me just get that out there now.
Ah,
And we're gonna have this discussion because all the A&M fans who might see this, because I'm gonna
you,
hashtag every fan base.
you ain't
That's
got,
right. And I'm gonna be
you don't
saying,
have a top 10. This
listen,
is
I
what I'm
don't have
talking about,
Jimbo
man.
top 10 until you
Watch your
listen.
mouth.
No, no. Number 9. No, because and we'll get to Jimbo when
Tell
we
him why
do
you
our wrap
mad,
up.
son. Tell him why you
Right. Let me get that out the way now.
tell
Jimbo
him why
Fisher
you
is an excellent coach.
he
He
is.
won a national championship at Florida State.
He did.
Probably should have won a couple of more, right? He's been competitive at A&M,
Yes.
but this is what coaching is. It's not recruiting is a part of coaching. Anybody who says it's not doesn't understand the sport. Recruiting is a part. You have to know how to sell your program and then coach up those players when you get them. Jimbo has been at A&M long enough with that program, with that fan base, with those boosters, with that they should be a lot better than what they've been.
Okay.
They last and then you turn around last year. You finally beat Alabama. You're then you now all of a sudden you end up 8-4. And then opt out of your bowl game because your players don't want to
You see
play.
what I'm saying? Yo,
And
man.
you can't get no love from me when you can't even
Can't do
get
it.
your players to play for you in a bowl game that's going to generate revenue for your university, your program.
100%.
So when that happens and you want to be up there, the upper echelon, you got to fix some things down here. You got a great class. If you go out there and ball out this year, you 12-0 in 2 years with that class, that number 1 ranked class, you should be in a college football playoff
Right.
2 to 3 years those guys are playing.
He
Because
better
they're
be.
not going to stay their senior year. They're going to be bolted off to the pros by then. So you need by next year, the year after, you should be in the
He
national.
better figure it out.
Yeah.
He better
So,
figure it out.
so I got some things about Jimbo. Not
All
number
right, go
9.
ahead, get to your 9.
Pat Fitzgerald, Northwestern.
Ooh, okay.
Now, the reason why I put Pat Fitzgerald 9 at a school that is predominantly an academic, known more for its academics than its football program, right? This man has won the 10 bowl games,
Yeah, man.
10 top
Yeah.
25 finishes at a
Yeah.
conference that has
That's a
some
good one.
heavy hitters in that conference, right? He's had to deal with Michigan and Michigan State and Ohio State and Penn State and Wisconsin and Iowa States of the world.
Right.
And yet, this man has been to 10 bowl games, 10 top 25 finishes, and he's under the radar,
He is.
right? He's not going to get the recruits those other schools are getting. But yet here he is every year. He's getting 8, 9, sometimes 10 wins. His teams aren't afraid to go up against the big boys, even though from a talent standpoint they're
Right.
overmatched.
Right.
But you can watch how they play, and you can see like, yo, if you slip on Northwestern will sneak one out on you.
They will. That's true.
They'll sneak one out on you.
I like that one.
You have to bring your A game to play Northwestern. So
I like that one.
I like Pat Fitzgerald. He's a really good coach. Imagine him, what he's doing there. Just imagine if he was at a school with a little bit more budget and a little bit more.
Yeah, I like that one.
So Pat Fitzgerald of Northwestern, my number 9.
I like that. I have Luke Fickell from Cincinnati at number 8. 33-5 the last 3 years. Obviously made the college football playoff. They're the class outside of the power conferences. I think they're the class of that now. I think you look at Cincinnati as the best non-monster conference program, period. You know, they played well. They got to the college football playoff. They ran into the wrong ones.
Yeah, they did.
But it happens. It happens. Everybody does. But it comes down to, he's 48-15 at Cincinnati. Like you want to talk about turning a team around that wasn't legit. Cincinnati is now a contender. They're a powerhouse there. He's got guys drafted into this league now. Like he's sending kids to the NFL. Now there's a pipeline going through Cincinnati, and that's all because of him. I think he's going to be this good for a long time. I feel like a big job is going to open up sometime soon. And I think he's going to be one of those guys that slides in. Okay, we had Luke Fickell there. He's going to end up at one of these big time, maybe in Oregon, maybe a Florida State, if that happens to open up, little something like that. He's going to end up at a big conference, and I think he's going to do a good job. That's why I have at 8. It's just simple. I just think he wins, and it's impressive how he wins.
That's a good pick. I like that one. You did your research on that one. That's a good one.
I'm out here.
Yeah, that's a good one. My number 8, Kyle Whittingham, Utah.
Okay.
I got Kyle Whittingham. He's won 67% of his games.
Yeah, man.
Right?
He's got a
nobody, and every time you look up every year, when you're watching college football preview shows or college game day, at some point you start looking at teams who are 6-0, 7-0, 8-0. There's Utah.
Always Utah.
Utah is always, always, always in that mix.
Absolutely.
It won't be long. I personally think it's going to take a tall order, but it won't be long for Utah to get to that college football playoff. I think that think about this. They took a very good Ohio State team to the wire.
Yeah.
In the Rose Bowl. That's, a team that was, and Ohio State was throwing the ball all over the place. They have a potential Heisman Trophy winner under center. And Utah hung with them play after play after play after play. And that takes a lot. So Kyle Whittingham has done a great job out there. As I mentioned earlier, since 2016, the best defense in the Pac-12 since moving from the Mountain West. So he moved from a lower level conference, went to a Power 5 conference, and he's still bringing the heat defensively. So
I like that.
Utah, Kyle Whittingham at number 8.
I like that. 7 and 6 were tough for me. 7 and 6, I went back and forth all week. I landed number 7 at Ryan Day.
Oh, okay.
Only because the number 6 guy who we'll get to, I just feel has more longevity. He's proven it longer, and I think he's proven it in different places as well that he's top tier. But 7 and 6 were close. Ryan Day, I mean, it speaks for itself. 34-4 at Ohio State. They're always right there in the college football playoff. They are 24-1 in the Big Ten their last 25 games. Like they dominate their division. They dominate their conference. They dominate on the field, period. Like they're going to come into a lot of people are feeling like they're going to have a better offense than even Alabama this year coming into this year.
Okay.
Like that offense is going to be spooky. He recruits extremely
Mhm.
well. He gets the best out of those guys. He's probably next in line for next coach to win a national champion, their first national title. I would say,
Mhm.
obviously Ohio State's got the pedigree.
Yeah.
I think Ryan Day is excellent, man. Only reason I couldn't put him over my number six is just that longevity and it proven every year that he's that type of good. But 34-4, it's 34-4, man. It's
Yes, it
crazy how
is.
good he's
Yes, it
been there.
is.
It's
Yes, it
crazy how
is.
good he's been there. And they're going to be right back this year doing the same thing.
Yeah. Now my number six is gonna scratch a few heads. So let me get it out there now. My number seven pick is a coach probably nobody's ever really heard of, but he's an excellent coach. His name is Jamie Chadwell from Coastal Carolina.
Coastal
Now, the
Carolina.
reason why I chose him
Okay. You in
is
your bag right
because
now. You're in your
they
okay, you in your bag right now. Okay.
there are about 4 or 5
Okay.
programs that tried to get him away from Coastal Carolina.
Right.
Um, he interviewed for Oklahoma. He interviewed for South Carolina. I don't know why he want to go there, but okay. He interviewed for South Carolina. He interviewed for NC State. There are major teams, at least Power Five conference teams, that want
Sure.
him as their coach.
I agree.
He's and Coastal Carolina, that I believe their nickname is the Chanticleers. They are they are one of those teams that is hard to not root for when you watch them because they're going to be the perennial underdog outside of their conference,
Yeah.
right? And he always has them guys competitive. They always, always, always rise up to the competition. I think that sometimes when we pick top tens, we're looking at the glitz and the name and like your
Right.
pick of Luke Fickell was an excellent pick because nobody knew who he was until last year,
Right.
right? He
Right.
turned out to be he's now you see what he's capable of and what he's doing.
Right.
I think that Caldwell is the next Luke Fickell if he gets to a right program.
Okay. I
I
like
think
that.
he's that guy that can take the next step with a program and do extremely well.
I like that.
Nobody. I really do because sometimes these coaches like Fickell and Caldwell and some others, you know, they coach as well as anybody else. They're not going to be the top three in the country because
Right.
to me, my top three is the top three. But
100%.
but he can be in the mix in this conversation. He would be a household name if he was coaching somewhere else. I
I
just
agree.
think that I do think that he's done things that Coastal Carolina. I think they're 36-19. He inherited a bad team. They've gone 13-2, 13-1, or whatever. You know what I mean? He's winning, and he's winning with a nice offense, a pro style offense. He uses a lot of he uses motion, but not as much as some of these college coaches do now.
Right.
Um, he loves play action. I mean, he's almost a throwback in his mindset that these
Right.
things still work. So let me do them until you stop them.
Right.
And he's done very well. And so he's my number seven.
Number six, this is who I went back and forth with. Six, I have Lincoln Riley.
Okay.
Um, just because Oklahoma dominated. Oklahoma was unbelievable. Oklahoma dominated where they were. I think number six. I think we're on six, right?
Yes,
Or we're on
six.
seven. We're on six. Yeah,
No, six.
I thought
Mhm.
so. Yeah, like I just feel like Lincoln Riley has shown he is one of the great offensive minds in college football. Period. And he did it at a school that you have to be that good with. And different players. Caleb Williams came in over Spencer Rattler. Then you go back to Baker Mayfield. Like he's done it with different types of guys and different types of formats, and they all fit his style. They score a ton. He's made college football playoffs. He's done everything but win his own national championship. Going
Mhm.
out to USC, I know he hasn't coached there yet, but I feel like if there was a school made for a coach right now, USC is made for Lincoln Riley. They're going to go
Mhm.
there. That campus is still a desirable campus. The
Oh, yes,
pedigree is
it is.
still there for the
Yeah.
pedigree. They made
Mhm.
the move to go to a bigger conference now. So now things are going to start ratcheting up with his recruiting even more than it was. I think immediately USC starts to make noise for Lincoln Riley there.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm gonna go off the grain just a little bit
Okay.
with my number six. I'm gonna throw up a name that a lot of coaches or a lot of players would know. His name is Dan Mullen, the head coach of Florida.
Okay. I can see
Now,
that.
Dan Mullen, quiet as kept, he's an excellent coach. He's had some hiccups. I know down in Mississippi, he had some hiccups, and that happens. But he took a team that was in, I think, 120th in offensive efficiency,
Hmm.
and now has them in the top 25 in offensive proficiency and
Right.
getting better.
Right.
They were the only team that, for a little while, they went toe to toe with Alabama in the SEC
Yeah.
championship game.
Yeah. It's true.
And I mean, them guys brought it. They came to play. They came to play. I think Dan Mullen is an offensive guru. He is really a guy that can dial up an offense.
I
Um,
like it. Yeah. Yeah. I like
I,
him.
I think that he's done well at Florida. I hope he continues to do well at Florida. But I like Dan Mullen. I think Dan Mullen is a top 10 coach. He just
Okay.
hasn't had the opportunity to crack that top five. And I think my fifth pick is gonna not scratch heads, but I'm looking at what's potential in top five. But my top, I'm comfortable with Dan Mullen at six.
Okay. I like that. My 5 and 4, I had the same issue with my 7 and 6. Um, my five, I go Jim Harbaugh here. Um, because number 4 has done much better recently over the course of more years than Harbaugh did. Harbaugh obviously put it all together last year, makes the college football playoff.
Mm-hmm.
They have a destructive defense last year, and they play really, really well. They just ran into a Georgia buzzsaw. Everybody did. So did we. We ran into a Georgia buzzsaw last
Yeah,
year,
yeah.
and that's what happened. So sometimes you just get that team who you can't get by, and
Mm-hmm.
I think Harbaugh has made a leap. I think he's finally figured out what he needs to do here because
Mm-hmm.
he's been a really good coach for a very long time. He was on rocky road with Michigan for a little bit, but he's been like he still wins there. Like he hasn't been embarrassing there. He's 61-24 at Michigan.
Yeah,
I think people don't see how successful he's been. They think maybe he's been closer to 50-50. He's 61-24 there
yeah, yeah,
at a school where pressure to win happens when you at your alma mater. Like things,
yeah, yeah.
there's a different level of pressure that comes with that. That comes with
Mhm.
playing in the Big Ten, comes with winning that Ohio State game, which he finally did this past year.
Right.
I think right now, if you look at top 5 coaches, I can see Lincoln Riley hopping in there if somebody
Mhm.
wants to. I can see Ryan Day hopping in
Mhm.
there if they want to. I just think the longevity and what Harbaugh does day in and day out, as well as
Mhm.
the recruiting, as well as taking all of the pressure and the abuse that he got in the media and responding back with the year that he had last year shows how good of a leader, how good of a motivator, how good of a coach he is.
Mhm.
I have him at 5. I could have had him at 4, but you'll see my number 4 guy, I just feel has
Okay,
done more over the last few years. And I think he's going into a really good situation to take another leap.
got it. Well, my number five guy is Lincoln Riley,
Okay.
and now these next couple of years at USC will determine if he stays in the top five.
Yes.
But what he's done in coaching two Heisman winners, um, has had the best offense in terms of yards per play in the country since 2016.
Right.
Better than Alabama, better than any other offense in the country. He has had easily. I mean, I think it hasn't been close. I think Alabama's a distant second. in
Right.
offensive efficiency per
I
play.
agree.
So Lincoln Riley is an outstanding recruiter
He is.
and coach. And now he's about to go to a football. I mean, that's almost like
It's
Shangri-La.
perfect for him. It's
It's
perfect for
Shangri-La
him.
for him because he
It's
can,
so
that
perfect.
Southern California, that entire area, those kids were going to Alabama. Remember, Bryce Young is from Southern California.
Yeah.
Najee Harris is
Yeah.
from Southern California. They
Yep.
went to Alabama because USC wasn't relevant at the time,
Right. Right.
right? So these guys have went from Southern California, where they would normally go to USC or UCLA or Stanford or some other Pac-12 team that's out there on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
They were going to the Texas of the world, the Oklahomas of the world,
The
the
Alabamas, yeah.
Alabamas of the world. Now they're going to stay home. So he has an opportunity to turn USC back into that powerhouse program they were when
Right.
Pete Carroll was there.
Right. And West Coast high school football is
It's
unbelievable.
huge,
California,
huge.
California's got. I mean, you got
I
St.
mean,
John
you got
Bosco out
Matter Day,
there.
you got Don
You got
Bosco, you got
Mater
Matter
Day
Day.
out there. You
Yeah,
got
you have
Bishop
some.
Gorman right there in Vegas, who
That's
now is a
right.
pipeline
Listen,
coming out of Bishop
listen.
Gorman. You have
Lincoln
really
Riley
legit.
is not going to lose too many recruits.
He's not. He's not.
At USC. Listen, it never rains in Southern California.
See you when I
It's
get
not
there.
gonna rain in
I feel you.
USC,
It's not.
right?
It's not.
Them boys are gonna be different
He is,
out there.
and he's the
So
perfect guy. He's a perfect mix of
for number
youth.
5,
He's
I think to put him there
yeah,
now, maybe I could have flipped him out of the top 5 and waited until after, because he's gonna
hmm
need 2 years in his system
to really lock it in.
to really lock it in, because
Okay.
he's playing with somebody else's guys right now. But he's already showing. He already snatched the quarterback from Oklahoma to USC,
You see them, man.
right? So he's already just putting the pieces together to dominate in that conference.
He's going to be perfect there. He's the
He's
perfect
gonna
mix of
be
youth and just vision of what an offense should look like. Like that's a when you think of a Lincoln Riley offense, you think Southern California, Rose Bowl, everybody in there. You think high power. It's just he's going to be so good there. He's
yeah,
going to be so good.
it's
I
gonna
like
be a
it.
problem. It's gonna be a
I like
problem.
it. Number 4 for me is Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly's at number 4.
Okay.
I understand it's Notre Dame. I do. But he's the winningest coach in Notre Dame history.
Mm.
Like things like that, when you think about just longevity of, I know we're talking current coaches, but it started from all the way through. He's always in that top 4, top 5, top 6 picture at a school where you have to win. They didn't want to get rid of him. They didn't want him to leave. He chose to leave that school to go to where he's going now in LSU. The biggest thing that no one now is talking about, because all the Jimbo stuff and the Saban stuff and Georgia being now a powerhouse, Brian Kelly's now coming into LSU with a track record of going to other places and being really, really good there.
Hmm.
Like he's a 145 and 61 in his career. Like he
Hmm.
wins everywhere that he goes. He's got the most wins. Like he's 44-7 his last few years. He's got 263 wins in his career. Like
Yeah.
he
Now
just
Brian Kelly
does.
was in Oregon before he went to.
That's Chip Kelly.
That's Chip Kelly. I'm thinking of Ron Kelly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like Brian Kelly has done really, really good things for a very long time.
Okay.
Coming from Notre Dame, always being a perennial college football playoff contender,
Hmm.
making college football playoffs, making national championship games. He's shown that he can win at a very, very high level. I couldn't put the number. I couldn't put Harbaugh over him because he hasn't been as good as Kelly for as long as Kelly has been
Hmm.
in college, and he hasn't made it to as many playoffs. He hasn't done like it's just little things separate those two. I've got Kelly at 4. I couldn't, my top 3 is
Yeah,
very, very far ahead of what the
right,
rest of these
right.
guys are. But as far as leading that pack, Brian Kelly leads the pack of the rest for me.
That's a very interesting number 4, because Kelly. You're right. Everywhere he's gone, he's done well. He's recruited well. He's brought players there who bought into the Notre Dame way of doing things. Um, it's his bad luck that he ran in Alabama twice in the playoff, right?
It happens,
Uh,
man. So sorry.
and he gets these teams, and there you can probably say that sometimes those teams have overachieved with
Yes,
Kelly.
they
He's
have.
because he doesn't have the unilateral talent as those other guys. He has good talent and is and put some professionals out there, especially on his O line.
Right.
Um, but he's done very well with what he has, and he's been able to get these guys to really really believe that they can step on the field and do anything, win or lose. You don't. There's no quit in Notre Dame. There's just no quit in that program, and I can respect that. I can respect that from him.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Him going to LSU will help LSU in this area. If you're an offensive lineman, he's always done good with his offensive lines at Notre Dame. If you're an old lineman, you don't have to leave LSU anymore if you don't want to, right? If you're, they always get great guys in their secondary. I mean, LSU has a hotbed for defensive
Right.
backfield, right? Some of those guys may not go to Alabama anymore or some other schools, but Alabama will get their share, but
Right.
maybe it'll tone it down a little bit. So from a recruiting standpoint, I think Kelly's going to do very well. But he's
I agree.
going into a conference and he hasn't participated in a football conference in none of his years at
It's been a while. Yeah.
right? So
Yeah. It's
you
different.
have to now understand
It's
you're
different.
in a conference where the best team, the best program over the past 15, 16 years resides in your division. In your division. So you now have walked from Notre Dame. You've done great there. You've been competitive. You've been a really, really solid program. Now we're gonna see exactly what you're made of going there. Because now every year you will play Auburn. Every year you'll play Alabama. Every year you'll play
Right.
Texas A&M. Every
Right.
year, and let's not forget, in 2025 or sooner, Oklahoma and Texas will be in the conference. You got to
They're
play them.
coming.
One is going to probably be split into each division.
Yep.
So you're going to play one of them every year. So let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. That's an interesting one. My number 4, Ryan Day, Ohio State.
Okay.
I think Orion Day is a national championship away from being considered elite by most coaching standards. I
By
think he's
everyone else. Yeah.
right by everyone else. I think
Yeah.
what he has been able to do in taking over from Urban Meyer with all of his Urban's baggage that tends to follow him.
Yep.
He
Yep.
has taken that
That's a good
program
point.
and given it a lot of stability. He has brought Ohio State back into that Ohio State way
That's a good point.
and brought some respectability back because people love beating Ohio State because nobody liked Urban Meyer. Right? People respect Ryan Day. Right? He carries, he's a guy that I can't see ever leaving that program unless he just chooses to
Oh
retire.
no, I don't see it
You know
either.
what I mean? So that he has brought that level of stability and preparation back to Ohio State, which is why he's only lost 4 games since he's been there. You know what I mean? So he has done, and listen, it's some people. I think Alabama still beats them in the national championship game, but if they were 100% healthy, maybe that game's a little bit more competitive until you get to the fourth quarter,
Right.
right? So they have the right coach at the right time at Ohio State.
I
And I
agree.
think he's just a national championship away. I think most coaches or most college football fans, unless they're Michigan, because Michigan will never say nothing nice about Ohio State.
Right.
But I think you have to look at Ryan Day is as I said, a national championship or two away from being considered one of the greatest. But for now, I got him at 4. I
Okay.
probably could have put him at 5. You know what I mean? And probably put somebody else up a little. But I think right now what he's doing there,
Yeah.
especially because think about the pressure it is of coming behind Urban Meyer,
Yeah, man. That's
right?
that. That's a
Urban
really
Meyer
good
has
point.
3
That's a really good
championship
point.
rings. He got 2 rings at Florida, 1 at Ohio State,
It's a really good
right?
point.
You're coming behind Urban Meyer. You're coming behind an all-time great as far as college football. And you have to fix a lot of things. Guys are leaving your program. Guys are transferring out of your program. But you still brought it back. You still stayed the course. And that's a powerhouse. That's a powerhouse program down there. It's if you don't catch Ohio State early in the season, you're not going to catch them late.
Right.
You got to
Right.
catch them early in the season and hang an L on them real quick.
You do. You do.
Because as the season goes on, you're not going. It's very hard to beat that team.
It is. It is. Top three. I think the top three is clear. Ranking 2 and 3 was fun, but it was actually a little easier than I thought. I have Kirby Smart at 3.
Okay.
Um, Winning the national championship obviously jumps him up to number 3. 4
Mhm.
SEC championship appearances in the last 6 years. Beating Alabama in the national championship game matters. Um, Especially after that loss to Alabama in the SEC title game.
Mhm.
He could have easily cowered. He could have easily took all the outside influence and not start Stetson Bennett. He could have
Mm.
not done, it takes someone who's secure in who he is and how he coaches to make a decision to say Stetson looked terrible against the same team, but this is our guy. We're going to go with him. And they did. They went with
If
him.
he doesn't start Stetson Bennett,
If he,
Alabama wins that game.
100%,
I believe
100%.
that. I believe that.
100%. Absolutely. Because then everyone's in their head. Then everyone's
Yeah,
thinking, okay,
that's right.
it's
That's
just
right.
a little thing. He stayed the course, and they dominated that second half. We're not going to worry about listen, we can talk about the injuries that happened. That's fine, but they still played the game to win.
Hmm.
Alabama was still good enough to beat anybody else in the country, and Kirby
Yeah,
Smart made sure
that's,
it didn't happen.
that's right.
Um, he's been really good for a long time. It was just always, can you get over that hump to make the national championship game? He
Hmm.
did. He lost to Alabama in the championship game. Coming back and climbing that hill and facing that same monster and beating him, it takes a special, special guy to do that. I think Kirby's at 3. I couldn't put him at number 2 because the guy at number 2 will get there, but
We'll
he's
get
just
there.
been so damn good for a while, for so
Yeah,
long.
yeah.
And we'll get there, and I will give him his flowers at number 2 because I think the number 2 guy is a clear number 2 for me still,
Yeah.
even with Kirby
I think my number
having that.
2 is here too. Right, right.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got
My
Kirby at
number
3.
3, my 3, Kirby Smart.
Yeah,
I think Coach Smart it is hard to be an a defensive coordinator for Nick Saban.
yeah,
It's hard to be a coach, period,
yeah.
for Nick Saban, right?
But
But not
especially
only does he
defense,
do it,
especially defense.
he's 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 won you some. He was part of 4 championship teams at Alabama. He goes to his alma mater where all the pressure in the world
All of it.
is on him, just like with Harbaugh, right? He goes to Georgia and immediately makes Georgia relevant. Immediately. The national championship game lost, the 2nd and 26, Tua to Devontae.
Mm.
If not for that, he might be sitting at 2 rings right now
He might be sitting at 2 against Alabama.
against Alabama.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
he is a clear cut to me top 3 coach because even in his losses to Alabama, there haven't been no cakewalks.
They haven't.
There have not been any cakewalks. I know Alabama is is just different in those games, but Kirby Smart is absolutely, listen, one or two more championships, which may not be hard to think of, it's possible. Now this also, now think about this with Kirby. Justin Fields was at Georgia, and he had the mindset to say, "You're not going to be my starter."
Yeah, and that's a strike against
Now,
him though. Jake
I
Fromm
strike
over
against him
Justin
because I
Fields is
think
weird.
Fields is excellent. Was
Fields is
excellent.
dynamite.
He probably wins a championship sooner if he kept him.
100%.
So it's fortunate for Kirby. He did get this ring because that Justin Fields decision would have haunted him forever.
Forever.
But
Jake Fromm
now
played
that
well
he's,
for him.
yeah, Jake
I
Fromm
will
played
say,
well, but Jake
Jake
Fromm is
Fromm's a
not
Georgia
Justin
boy.
Fields. That's
Jake
right.
Fromm is not Justin Fields. That
Not
was,
Justin Fields. So
yeah.
that was different, right? But he went and got his ring. He's probably going to win that division every year,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
His closest competition at division will probably be Florida and Dan Mullen, right?
Yeah.
So that division is pretty much Georgia's every year. So it's going to be Georgia and whoever comes out of the SEC West.
Right.
So he has the potential now to be all-time great, but right now he's great. Right now I have Kirby Smart at 3.
Yeah. 2, I'm sure, we can piggyback on number 2. The reason why I have Dabo at number 2 is even like he won 10 games last year and everybody thought it was a terrible down year for them.
Tell me about it.
Like he won
Tell me
10
about it.
games,
10 games, man.
and
But
that's
that's
with no and that's without Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson. So
right.
everybody said,
Travis
okay,
Etienne,
look who he had.
yeah.
And then he goes into, DJ, I'm gonna mess up his
I
name,
can't
but
even say his last name.
the kid
DJ.
out of St. John Bosco,
Mhm.
DJ Uagalele, I think that's how you say it. Like, who's a big time recruit, but obviously not on that same level as the
Right.
Lawrences and Deshaun Watsons. And he still won 10 games
That's right.
with that team, with a team with a lot less talent, and he still
Mhm.
got there for them. And
Yeah.
everybody said, "Oh my gosh, like Clemson's not that good." You look up and they're still at 10 wins. He
Yeah.
wins 10 games every year. He's got the national championships. He's got the playoff appearances. He's got the wins against the number 1 coach.
Mhm.
He's done everything that you want him to do. He's good enough to where people in Alabama who are as protective over that Crimson Tide team over anything in the world
Mhm.
look at him and say, I think he can be okay and come here. Like he's
Okay.
one of those guys who can write his tickets anywhere in the country and chooses to stay at Clemson and be excellent there.
True.
I couldn't put Kirby over him because Dabo wins double digit games every year. He's got multiple national championships. He's he's got them. He's got these wins with different types of generational players, different league. Like he's fell on his face again a few times, got right back up. He's got knocked down by Alabama, came back, beat them the next year.
Mhm.
He's clearly the number 2 best coach in the
Yeah.
country for me.
Yeah. And you know what? And we're not even going to make this suspenseful. Dabo Swinney is from Alabama,
Yep.
played at Alabama, won a national championship as a
Hmm.
reserve. Right? His first coaching job was as a graduate assistant at Alabama.
Yep.
He goes to Clemson. First couple of years at Clemson, they're like, okay, what are we doing with this boy named Dabo? Right? But any coach that can beat Nick Saban in a national championship game twice
Twice.
is worthy of respect. He has 3 national championships at Clemson. He has led that program, and here's another thing that makes him great. A lot of those Clemson assistants don't leave. He ensures that they get paid enough money to keep them there because continuity is important to him. having the same guys to go out there recruiting and staying with these recruits throughout their college years is important to Dabo. So it wasn't until the past couple of years a couple of assistants have left for other head coaching jobs. But normally those guys stay there. And they stay there because they built a brand at Clemson and they built a culture at Clemson that they didn't have before he got there. So Dabo is probably, in my opinion, easily number 2.
Yeah.
And before we get to number 1, the only coach on this list that could go to Alabama and be successful would be Dabo, being a hometown kid.
I agree.
Being a guy that knows the system, knows the university as well as he does. Dabo is a bad man down there. You gotta be careful.
Yeah. You can go ahead and start talking.
So, my number 1, Nicholas Saban. Now, I don't have to sit here and talk about his record, the 6 championships he's won at Bama, 7 overall, the players he has put in the NFL. Now, listen, we know that once guys get to the NFL, doesn't mean they're going to stay there.
Come on, man.
He's had a few guys that didn't do as well as maybe we thought, but they got there. That's fine.
Want to go down the list? Do we need to go down the list?
We don't have to go down the – see, when you talk about –
we need to go down the list.
Mika Fitzpatrick.
Okay.
Pro Bowl All-Pro. Xavier McKinney. Pro Bowler. Clinton Dix. Don't know where he's at now. Pro Bowler.
Wow.
Let's talk Jonathan Allen.
Wow.
Deron Payne.
Wow.
Let's talk about this year. Who did the Giants draft first?
No, you know what? Let's not even get to this year yet. We haven't even talked about Mark Ingram. We haven't talked about Amari Cooper.
We haven't talked about Kenyon Drake.
We haven't talked about Julio Jones.
Sure haven't.
We haven't talked about – I know y'all hate Trent Richardson at school. He was great, and that's fine.
We haven't
talked about Derrick Henry.
Ridley.
We haven't talked about Derrick Henry, best running back in football. We haven't talked about the Reuben Fosters of the world. We haven't talked about the Reggie Raglins of the world who came in and they still got things to do. We haven't talked about Josh Jacobs.
No.
We haven't talked Najee Harris. Devonta Smith. We haven't.
Jalen Hurts. I'm taking that year away, Oklahoma.
Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts starting quarterback in the NFL.
So is Mac Jones.
Mac Jones starting quarterback in the NFL. Like, what are we doing? And now will come current. Heisman Trophy winner Bryce Young. Best defensive player in the world, Will Anderson.
Yeah.
Talk about the first round of this NFL draft. Evan Neal.
You don't have to talk about who might be the second best defensive player in the country in Dallas Turner.
Oh, my gosh.
He might be the second best defensive player on Alabama's team. He might be the second best in the country, Dallas Turner.
Oh, my gosh.
We haven't even talked about them.
We're not going to talk about Jamison Williams and John Mechie in the first round.
We're not going to talk about that.
Evan Neal in the first round. We didn't mention Landon Collins.
No. Haven't even mentioned him.
We haven't mentioned 7 national championships.
No.
6 at Bama. We haven't talked about always in the college football playoff. Shocking that he loses a national championship game. Every time we mention the coach, well, why is he so great? Because he beat Saban in a national championship game, and nobody does that.
Right. I'm gonna hold that thought. That's coming next. Dabo Swinney, as great as he is,
oh my gosh,
his claim to fame will always be, I beat Saban twice.
I beat Saban.
Kirby Smart, great.
I beat Saban.
I beat Saban. You have to beat the king to hopefully be the king. And you beat him twice, Dabo, and you're still not the king.
And he's still not the king because he's just always right back.
He's always right
in
back.
The same spot.
Here's
with
a
different
stat
guys.
A lot of people don't know about Nick Saban. Since his first national championship year, No freshman class has graduated without a national championship. What do you think about that for a second? Let that sink in for 1 minute. Let that sink in.
Like, what are we talking
Since
about?
he won his first championship,
Come on, man.
not one freshman class has graduated without winning a national championship.
Look at the quarterbacks he's used.
That's
AJ
crazy.
McCarron, championship. Mac Jones, championship.
Championship.
I know Bryce doesn't have Bryce Young.
Didn't he win a championship with Jake Coker?
Jake
He won a
Coker
championship with Jake
championship.
Coker.
Like, what are we doing? Everybody said Alabama's a running back university. Cool. Julio,
They used to be.
Amari, Calvin Ridley, John
Julio.
Mechie,
Julio Jones.
Jameson Williams, Calvin. I said Calvin Ridley. Like you have the Devonta Smith, Heisman Trophy winning wide receiver. Like, he makes unbelievable things happen.
O.J. Howard, a tight end.
Come on,
barely
man.
gets any. O.J. Howard
Starting tight end in the NFL right now.
Starting tight end in the NFL.
Come on,
man.
And
could be better. It may become better. But
like, what are we doing?
He's O.J. Howard, man.
What are we doing, man?
We
said Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen already, both starting in the league. Like, he just like, come on, man. And this is all Saban.
This is
all Saban.
Here's a funny story about a recruit. Nick Saban comes into the house to talk to grandmother and the mother. Father came later because he was out working. Nick Saban told this kid, you don't have to come to Alabama to be successful. You can be successful no matter where you go in this country. I'm pretty sure every coach that has recruited you brings something wonderful to offer. But I can guarantee you two things. One, you're going to be challenged every day to be the very best you can be, because you'll be competing against the very best we have in Alabama.
Right.
And two, you'll win a national championship.
Woo.
That kid waited till his dad came home to sign that letter of intent. He's like, what do I sign? Where do I sign? You can't sign yet, young man, because you have to wait until, but you can give a verbal whenever you want to. Right? The kid, you know what that kid's name is? Landon Collins. So that kid, and now Landon Collins' daddy ain't around as much, but he saw his son coming on the pro and like, look, let me go say hey to mama real quick. But that's the beauty of a Nick Saban, to just say, you don't have to come play for me.
You don't.
But if you do come play for me,
winning is happening.
You're going to be challenged every day by the very best we have at Alabama.
He's the best. He's the best, not just today. He's the best ever.
And we might as well get it out the way. There is no Mount Rushmore in college football coaching if Nick Saban is in that center. If he's not in the center of that Mount Rushmore,
it's wrong.
It's wrong.
It's wrong.
He is the absolute best in my lifetime I've ever seen coach. And I remember Bear Bryant. Nah.
Nick is different, man.
And now I will say this, this is our top 10. Let us know what you think, but I will say this for all of you who doubt Alabama moving forward.
Oh, just wait. Just wait. It's going to get so messy.
Everything comes to an end. We know that. We as Alabama fans remember the lean years when we struggled here and there and we had to take some lumps and some abuse. And there's going to come a time when Nicholas J. Saban is going to retire. But I promise you this, until that day comes, you're just going to have to hear Roll Damn Tide.
Roll Damn Tide. Hey, Auburn.
And you're going to hear it even when he's gone.
Hey, Roll Auburn.
Damn Tide.
Hey,
we
Auburn.
Just beat the hell out of you. Rammer, jammer, yellow hammer, give them hell, Alabama.
Hell, Alabama.
That's
on that note. On that note, we are back. We love it, man. We are back next week. Wait till you see what we have next week. I haven't even shared what we're doing next. Wait till you see what we have next week, guys. We
Listen,
appreciate you. We know the suspense was over as soon as you pulled up, but you see it. We are
yeah,
popping right into the season.
you see
But
it. It's right here. It's
it's
right here for
always
you.
good to know who else is great in this wonderful sport that we love.
Yeah.
Hopefully hopefully now when you tune into these games, you'll see exactly what we're seeing, and not just that we are Alabama guys,
Mhm.
but we are college football guys. We love this game. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us, man. Everything is always a blessing to have you with us. Wait till you see what we have next week for you, though. Stay
Next week,
tuned.
we're
We
gonna
have
give it to you. We want you to leave your comments, leave your thoughts. We're going to make sure that we hashtag some of these fan bases so
absolutely,
you see exactly where we placed your coaches.
absolutely.
Michigan fans will be mad at me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Hold on.
Texas
Give me 1 second. Give me one quick moment. I didn't hear you say Jim Harbaugh's name at all.
No, him nor Jimbo.
Jimbo, I understand you.
And,
Okay.
and and Harbaugh was at number 10 originally for me.
Wow.
But I had to bump him because he has had too much talent to not do better at Michigan.
Okay.
You know, I mean, let's flip this. If Ryan Day had Michigan's talent, he'd still win 10, 11 games a year.
He would, but not
So
top
you have
10
to,
is woo,
yeah,
buddy.
Harbaugh can't get my top 10 until he is consistently. And listen, he's played Bama twice since he's been there and got
Yeah,
trunked.
I know. It's Bama though.
Or was it once? No, I know he played in a bowl game
Yeah, it's
and
Bama
lost
though.
badly against
It's
Bama.
us. It's us.
Maybe it was just once, but regardless of that, he has to be more consistent.
Man.
Especially then, he's the one team in a rivalry game that's getting smoked every year except last year.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to lose
Yeah.
this year because Ohio State's really good.
Ohio State's so damn good this year.
He's probably going to catch
Yeah.
another L.
Yeah. I had him at
This,
5. You had him at
I had him
0.
at 4.
At nothing.
I had him at nothing.
You had at nothing.
He might lose by 3 touchdowns this year to Ohio State.
Ohio State's going to be so spooky this year. I can't wait for the season.
And
We'll definitely do a
you
season
can't be
preview.
top 10 and lose your rivalry game by 3 touchdowns.
We will definitely do a season preview. We'll give you our top 10 teams going into the year. We'll definitely do that.
We'll do
Next week, stay tuned. We got some really good things coming up. We appreciate you for the quiet storm. It's Ace. Roll
damn
damn tide.